Hey, amazing viewers. Before we go into this riveting narrative, drop your location in the comments below. We love connecting with you all around the world. Also, if this is your first time here, press the subscribe button and join our incredible journey. Let's hit 10,000 subscribers this month together. Your support means everything. The Shadow and the Fighter. I remember the first time I saw them together, Lena and Leah. Identical in every way except for how they carried themselves. Lena was the quiet one, the girl who seemed to shrink into the background, hoping no one would notice her. But Leah had fire in her eyes. The kind of fire that didn't burn wild, but smoldered beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to explode. They were twins, but you wouldn't know it if you saw them apart. Lena moved like a ghost through the school hallways. Head down, shoulders hunched, arms wrapped around her books like they were a shield. The bullies loved easy targets, and Lena had been theirs for as long as I could remember. It wasn't just teasing. It was cruel. They called her Mouse because of the way she never spoke above a whisper. They pushed her books out of her hands just to watch her scramble to pick them up. They cornered her in empty hallways and whispered things I wouldn't dare repeat. And the worst part, she never fought back. That's what made them bolder. I watched, helpless, as the ringleader, Amanda, a girl with a perfect smile but a heart made of ice, spilled juice on Lena's notebook one afternoon. She did it like it was nothing, like ruining someone else's work was just a game. Lena just stood there, hands shaking, eyes darting around, hoping someone would step in. But no one ever did. At least, not until that day. The day everything changed. It was a Monday morning when Lena didn't show up for school. At first, no one really noticed. It wasn't unusual for her to disappear for a day or two when things got bad. But when she was absent on Tuesday and Wednesday too, I started to worry. Then Thursday came. That's when Leah walked in. At first glance, she looked exactly like Lena. Same face, same long brown hair, same soft eyes. But something was different. She didn't shrink into herself. She didn't look away when people stared. She walked into that school like she owned the place, shoulders back, head high, daring anyone to challenge her. And Amanda noticed. I remember watching as Amanda and her crew exchanged glances, realizing something was off. They circled Leah like predators testing their prey. Did the mouse finally grow a spine? Amanda smirked, stepping forward. Leah just smiled. Not a shy, nervous smile like Lena's, but something else entirely. Something dangerous. I guess you'll find out, she said, voice steady. Amanda laughed, but there was an edge to it. She wasn't used to this. She was used to Lena flinching, not standing her ground. I held my breath as Leah walked past them without a second glance. That's when I knew this wasn't Lena. It was her twin. And she had come for war. The first lesson was in the gym. That was when Leah really made her presence known. Lena had always been the last to be picked in PE. She never fought for a spot, never tried to prove herself. But Leah stepped right up, volunteering before anyone else had a chance. Coach Simmons blinked in surprise. Didn't think you were the competitive type, Lena. Leah just shrugged. Guess people change. And change she did. When it was time for dodgeball, everyone expected her to cower in the back like Lena always did. Instead, she moved like lightning, dodging every throw, catching balls midair, and sending them flying back with terrifying precision. One by one, Amanda's crew went down, and Amanda was furious. After class, I saw her whispering to her friends, plotting. But Leah, she just smiled that same knowing smile, like she was daring them to try something. By lunchtime, rumors were flying. Did you see Lena in PE? She's like a whole different person. She's never acted like this before. What if it's not Lena? The last question made my heart stop. Because it wasn't. I wanted to tell someone. Anyone. But what would I say? That the girl who had been bullied for years suddenly had the confidence to fight back. That her twin had switched places with her. No one would believe me. And honestly, a part of me wanted to see how far Leia would take this. The first real confrontation happened after school. Amanda and her group waited by the front gate, blocking the path. It was their usual routine. Trap Lena, make her cry, remind her who was in charge. But today, Leia wasn't playing their game. I saw it unfold from the other side of the road. Leia didn't hesitate, didn't slow down. She walked straight toward Amanda and stopped just inches away. "You've had your fun," she said quietly. "But it ends now." Amanda scoffed. "Or what?" Leia leaned in. "You'll see." There was something in her voice, something chilling. Amanda shifted, suddenly unsure of herself. And for the first time in years, the bully became the one who looked afraid. Leia turned and walked away without another word, leaving Amanda and her friends standing there, too stunned to speak. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about what I had witnessed. Lena had always been the shadow, the one who suffered in silence. But now, standing in her place, was someone unafraid, someone willing to fight back. And as much as I wanted to believe it was over, I knew better. This was just the beginning. Leia wasn't just here to stop the bullying. She was here to end it. For good. The game has just begun. There's something eerie about a school when its natural order is disrupted. Bullies are like kings in their own twisted kingdom. They rule through fear, through silence, through the unspoken agreement that no one will challenge them. But when someone does, when someone flips the script, the whole world shifts. That's what was happening now. Ever since Leia walked into that school wearing Lena's face, but carrying an entirely different energy, there was a ripple effect. The air felt charged, like everyone was holding their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. I watched it unfold, not just as a bystander, but as someone who had witnessed the pain Lena had endured for years. The way she used to flinch at the sound of Amanda's voice. The way she curled in on herself whenever someone so much as looked in her direction. But now, Lena's body, Leia's body, moved with purpose, with confidence. She wasn't just surviving. She was hunting. And Amanda knew it. Thursday morning, Amanda was fuming. I saw her pacing near the lockers before first period, her group gathered around her like a pack of nervous wolves. She wasn't used to losing control. It was like watching a spoiled child realize for the first time that they couldn't always get their way. "She thinks she's so smart," Amanda hissed, voice low but sharp enough to cut glass. "Like she's won something." Her friends exchanged glances, unsure of what to say. They had followed Amanda for so long, relying on her confidence, her cruelty. But now, even they were uneasy. Because if Lena wasn't afraid anymore, then what did that mean for them? One of them, Madison, a girl who never had an original thought in her life, muttered, "Maybe she's, like, been planning this all along." Amanda scoffed. "She's a weak little mouse." But there was doubt in her eyes. Because deep down, even she didn't believe that anymore. Meanwhile, Leia was playing her own game. She wasn't just standing up for herself. She was proving a point. In English class, she raised her hand for the first time in years, answered every question with sharp, precise confidence. When the teacher asked her to read aloud, she did it without hesitation, her voice steady, unwavering. In math, she corrected the teacher on a problem. In history, she challenged a popular boy on a debate about world leaders, and won. People were watching. People were whispering. This wasn't just a girl standing up for herself. This was a girl taking back everything that had been stolen from her. Lunch was where things escalated. Amanda wasn't stupid. She knew she couldn't attack Leia outright. Not in front of everyone. That would be too obvious. Too desperate. So she played it differently. "Hey, Lena," Amanda called out, fake sweetness dripping from her voice. "Why don't you come sit with us?" A trap. Everyone knew it. I held my breath. Leah turned, her expression unreadable, and walked right up to Amanda's table. Amanda smirked, probably thinking she had won, that she had lured the mouse back into the den. Then Leah did something that no one expected. She pulled out a chair, spun it around, and sat down backward, arms resting against the backrest, like she owned the place. The cafeteria went silent. Amanda's smirk faltered. Leah leaned in, just enough so that Amanda had to hear her. I know what you're doing, she said, voice low. And it's not going to work. Amanda blinked, caught off guard. What are you? I'm not scared of you. Leah tilted her head, studying her like she was looking at something small, something insignificant. And you know what's funny? I don't think anyone else is either. She gestured around, and Amanda suddenly seemed to notice the way people were staring. Not in fear, not in admiration, but in curiosity. Amanda wasn't in control anymore. She was being studied. Leah stood up. Enjoy your lunch. Then, just like that, she walked away. And for the first time ever, Amanda had no comeback. After school, things took a darker turn. I don't know if it was Amanda's bruised ego or if she had finally realized she was losing, but I saw it in her eyes. She was done playing games. I was walking toward the bus stop when I saw them. Amanda, Madison, two other girls from their group. They weren't heading toward the exit. They were following Leah. I hesitated, heart pounding. I could walk away, pretend I didn't see. But then I thought of Lena, thought of all the times I had seen her cry in the bathroom, all the times I had done nothing. Not this time. I followed them. The confrontation happened behind the school, near the parking lot where the teachers' cars were parked. It was isolated. No cameras, no witnesses, except for me. Leah wasn't surprised. She had expected this. You think you're tough, don't you? Amanda sneered. You think you can just waltz in here and act like you run this place? Leah didn't answer. She just smiled. Amanda lunged. It happened in a blink. Amanda reaching out, grabbing Leah's collar, ready to shove her against the wall. But Leah moved first. A sharp sidestep. A quick twist. Suddenly, it was Amanda who was off balance, stumbling forward. Leah didn't push her, didn't hit her. She just let her fall, flat on her hands and knees. The silence that followed was deafening. Amanda scrambled up, humiliated, furious. You. Walk away, Leah said quietly. Amanda clenched her fists. Then, shockingly, Madison stepped back. Then the other two girls. For the first time, Amanda was alone. Leah turned, walked away without another word. Amanda stood there, breathing heavily, staring after her. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the one in control. I didn't say anything as Leah passed me. But she stopped, looked at me. You saw that? She asked. I nodded. For a second, I thought she'd tell me to keep quiet. But instead she smiled. Good, she said. Then you'll know that this isn't over. Then she walked away, leaving me standing there, heart pounding, realizing the truth. Lena had suffered for years. Leah wasn't just stopping the bullying. She was making sure it never happened again. And Amanda. Amanda had no idea what was coming. Breaking the chain. There's something unsettling about watching a queen lose her throne. The moment Amanda hit the ground behind the school, the illusion she had built around herself shattered. She wasn't untouchable anymore. She wasn't the girl who ruled by fear, the girl everyone bowed down to in silent agreement. She was just another student, and that was dangerous for her. Because without fear, what was she? Nothing. She knew it too. That's why she didn't lash out immediately. Why she stood there, breathing heavily, fists clenched at her sides as Leah walked away like nothing had happened. She didn't understand it yet, but she would. This wasn't about a single confrontation. It was about a shift in power. And Leah had just taken all of it. The next morning, The news spread like wildfire. By the time the first bell rang, the entire school was buzzing with whispers. Did you hear what happened yesterday? Amanda tried to fight Lena, and she lost. No way. Amanda never loses. I swear, I saw it. Lena didn't even have to hit her. She just moved, and Amanda, bam, face first into the pavement. Leah walked into school like nothing had changed, but everything had. The halls felt different. The usual looks of pity Lena used to get were gone, replaced with something else. Respect, curiosity, and Amanda. She didn't show up to first period, or second, or third. It wasn't until lunch that she finally appeared, and when she did, it was like watching a ghost. She was pale, her usual confident stride gone. Her eyes darted around as if she expected people to laugh, to point, to whisper. They didn't. Not because they didn't want to, but because Leah was sitting at the center table, the table that had belonged to Amanda's group for years, and no one dared to challenge her. The confrontation. It wasn't over. I knew it. Leah knew it. And most importantly, Amanda knew it. That's why, after school, she was waiting. Not in the usual places, not by the lockers, not by the cafeteria, but in front of the school gates. A public place. A stage. A final attempt to regain control. Leah saw her, stopped, smiled. Amanda clenched her fists. You think this is funny? Leah tilted her head. No, I think it's sad. Amanda flinched. It was the smallest movement, barely noticeable. But I saw it. And so did Leah. That's when I realized Leah wasn't fighting Amanda. She was dismantling her. Piece by piece. Amanda took a step forward. But this time, she wasn't towering over anyone. You humiliated me. No, Leah corrected. You humiliated yourself. Silence. Pure, suffocating silence. Amanda's hands trembled at her sides. I could ruin you. Leah chuckled, shaking her head. No, Amanda, you can't. Amanda's breath hitched. Because she knew it was true. She had spent years building herself up by tearing others down. But the moment someone refused to play by her rules, she had nothing left. No power, no control, nothing. Leah stepped closer, lowering her voice so only Amanda could hear. You have a choice. Walk away now, and no one will remember what you did. Keep fighting, and they'll never forget. Amanda swallowed hard. She wasn't stupid. She turned and walked away. And that was it. The reign of Amanda was over. The aftermath. Something strange happened after that day. The school didn't erupt into chaos. There wasn't a violent shift in power. There was just peace. Other kids who had been bullied, kids who had been afraid to speak up, started standing a little taller. They started talking back when someone pushed them down. Leah hadn't just fought for Lena. She had fought for all of them. And she had won. But something still didn't sit right with me. Because at the end of it all, I still hadn't seen the real Lena. And that scared me. Because while Leah had changed everything, Lena was still a shadow. And I had no idea if she would ever come back. The ghost in the mirror. The strangest part of it all wasn't Amanda's fall. It wasn't the way the school changed overnight. The way the halls felt lighter. The way people carried themselves differently, no longer fearing every step. It was Lena. Or rather, the absence of her. Because while Leah had rewritten everything, the person she had done it for was still nowhere to be seen. Lena had disappeared. And no one was asking questions. Except for me. Friday afternoon. It had been a full week since Leah had taken her sister's place, since she had walked into that school with Lena's face, but none of her fears. A week since Amanda had been dethroned. A week since I had last seen Lena. I found myself standing outside the twins' house after school, heart pounding. I wasn't sure what I was expecting. Maybe that Lena would open the door, eyes wide with surprise. finally stepping back into the world now that it was safe. But when the door swung open, it was Leia. Of course, it was Leia. She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. I was wondering when you'd show up. I hesitated. Where's Lena? A pause, just a second too long. Then, she's resting. It was an answer, but it wasn't the truth. I could feel it. Something was off. I glanced past her shoulder, trying to see inside, but the house was dark. Too dark. Can I talk to her? I asked. Another pause. Then, a small, careful smile. She doesn't want to talk to anyone right now. And before I could say anything else, the door closed. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling. Something was wrong. Lena wasn't just avoiding school. She was gone. Hidden away like a secret Leia was too afraid to share. But why? I replayed the past few weeks over and over in my head. The transformation, the confidence, the way Leia had stepped in and taken control like she had been waiting for the opportunity her entire life. And then a thought hit me. A thought so dark, so unexpected, that I almost felt sick. What if Lena didn't want to come back? What if Leia didn't want her to? Saturday, I made a decision. If Leia wasn't going to give me answers, I would find them myself. I waited until the evening, until the sun had started to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quiet neighborhood. Then, I went back to their house. The lights were off. No movement. I hesitated, debating whether or not I should even be doing this, but something inside me pushed forward. I walked around the side of the house, searching for a window that wasn't locked. And that's when I heard it. A voice. Soft. Muffled. I pressed my ear against the wall, heart hammering. It was Lena. She was talking to someone. No, whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but I could hear the fear in them. And then, Leia's voice. Low. Calm. Too calm. I didn't know what was happening inside that house, but I knew one thing for sure. Lena wasn't free. She was trapped. And I was going to get her out. The face in the dark. Some stories don't end the way you expect. Some stories don't end at all. I thought this was a story about a girl finding her strength, about a twin who stepped into the light to fight back for the sister who had spent years being crushed under the weight of fear. But as I stood outside their house that night, listening to the whispers beyond the walls, I realized something else entirely. This wasn't a story about one girl taking her sister's place. It was a story about one girl disappearing completely. Sunday night, I had to act fast. I didn't know what Leia had done, but I knew one thing. Lena wasn't in control anymore. And maybe she never had been. I had spent years watching Lena fade, watching her get smaller and smaller under the weight of everything Amanda and her crew had done to her. But now, as I stood outside that house, I wondered if she had been disappearing long before the bullying even started. And if Leia had been waiting for it. I wasn't going to let that happen. I wasn't going to let her vanish. Not like this. I climbed up onto the porch, pressing my hand against the cool wood of the front door. It was unlocked. A bad sign. Or maybe an invitation. I stepped inside. The house was silent. Dark. Too dark. I moved carefully, my heart pounding. There was no sign of their parents. No sign of anyone, except for the lingering tension in the air. Something thick and unspoken, pressing against my skin. And then I heard it. A soft rustling. A whisper. I turned toward the staircase. There, at the top, stood Lena. Or at least, the shadow of her. She was thin. Too thin. Her arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold herself together. Her face was half hidden in the darkness. But her eyes were wide, pleading. Help me. Her voice was barely a breath. I swallowed hard. Lena. She opened her mouth to speak, but then, another voice. From behind her. You shouldn't have come. I froze. Leia stepped forward. She was wearing the same face, the same eyes, the same body, but they weren't the same at all. Lena was trembling. Leia was calm. Too calm. And I suddenly understood. Leia hadn't just taken Lena's place. She had erased her, bit by bit, until there was nothing left. The truth. I don't know when it started. Maybe it had always been there, lurking beneath the surface, hidden behind their identical faces. Two girls, one stronger, one weaker, one who wanted to live, one who wanted to disappear. And somewhere along the way, the roles had flipped. Or maybe they had always been this way. Leah took a step forward, placing a hand on Lena's shoulder. She smiled, but it wasn't kind. "You should go home," she said softly. Lena didn't speak, didn't move. I wanted to grab her hand, to pull her down those stairs, to remind her of who she was before all of this. But she didn't reach for me. She just stood there, frozen, staring at her own reflection in the mirror behind me. Or maybe she wasn't seeing a reflection at all. Maybe she was seeing a ghost. Maybe she already was one. The last goodbye. I left that night, not because I wanted to, but because I had no choice. Leia walked me to the door, her smile never faltering. "Don't worry," she said. "Lena's safe." I looked back one last time. Lena was still at the top of the stairs, watching, waiting. I wanted to say something, anything. But the words never came. Because deep down I knew. Lena wasn't coming back. Not really. Not ever. Monday morning. School was the same. The whispers. The rumors. The looks. Only now, they weren't about Amanda. They were about Lena. Or rather, about how she had changed. She's different now. Stronger. Like a whole new person. And maybe she was. Maybe that's exactly what she had become. Because when she walked through those doors, head high, eyes sharp, she wasn't Lena anymore. She was Leah. And no one could tell the difference. Not even me. Some stories don't end the way you expect. Some stories don't end at all. This concludes the story. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please consider liking the video and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for more captivating stories. Have a great day.